I'm actually going to be reading a DOJ press release.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
You ready, Dave?
Okay.
All right. Feds arrest 2 militia members associated with the Boogaloo Boys. That's the headline.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Louisville, Kentucky. John Sobleski, age 32, of Louisville, Kentucky, and Adam Turner, age 35, also of Louisville, Kentucky, were arrested by the Louisville Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation today, announced Acting United States Attorney General Michael A. Bennett, or State's Attorney Michael A. Bennett. I commend the outstanding work of Louisville's FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force and our state and local law enforcement task force member agencies who work tirelessly every day to identify, locate, and apprehend for prosecution individuals who jeopardize the peace and safety of the citizens of the Western District of Kentucky, said Acting United States Attorney Michael A. Bennett. Could this be any more wordy? Every now and then you're like, can you switch to the alphabet soup?
That's right.
FBI Louisville's Joint Terrorism Task Force, otherwise known as JTTF, going forward, and each of the member agencies are committed to keeping our communities safe from violent extremists, stated FBI Special Agent in Charge Robert Brown. Today's decisive action underscores the exceptional partnership and professionalism of our JTTF membership. The citizens of the Commonwealth can take comfort in the fact that we continue to work together every day to protect our communities from extremists seeking to do harm. So, we've gone 3 paragraphs now and we still don't know what happened.
Yeah, I have no idea what they did. They just keep talking about how awesome they are. It's no indication of what's happened.
So, which is true of all of their news releases, can I tell you? I read this stuff, and it really bothers me that so many news organizations take these press releases and just sort of publish them verbatim without digging into what's going on, criticizing, maybe questioning some things, because they're just always cheerleading for law enforcement, right? Anyway, so we might be able to find out what happened soon. Okay, Sobleski was charged. Oh, wait, we're going to know now. Sobleski was charged in a criminal complaint with a violation of 18 United States Code Section 2101 for using a facility of interstate commerce to incite a riot and committing an act of violence in furtherance of a riot. The complaint against Sobleski alleges that he was a member of the militia known as the United Pharaohs Guard, or UPG, who defined themselves as Boogaloo Boys. Boogaloo is a term referencing a violent uprising or impending civil war. The complaint further alleges that on January 6, 2021, contemporaneously with the Capitol riots, Sobleski incited a riot in downtown Louisville, Kentucky, through the use of social media and other electronic communications. While inciting individuals to riot, he communicated through social media that it was time to storm LMPD. All right. So now we got to the meat and potatoes of what's going on here.
Yeah.
So
this boy went after the cops.
Yeah. So this is sort of, I thought it was an interesting story because while the DC thing was happening, there were all of these protests that had been scheduled that were going on. We had one here in Los Angeles in which some hate crimes happened. And we're now finding out that these things were happening all across the country. So this was in Louisville, Kentucky, and it didn't get any press attention for the obvious reasons. But, all right, wait, hang on, I take that back. Maybe what's obvious to me isn't obvious to the rest of the media.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Well, I mean, Louisville, Kentucky's not sexy, right? Why talk about what's happening in the small town of Louisville if we can, talk about Trump and January 6th all day long? So the complaint further alleges that while rioting in downtown Louisville on the evening of January 6th, members of the Sobleski's group pointed their rifles at the driver of a vehicle, blocked intersections, and barricaded a number of roads. Most were openly wielding firearms at the time. According to the complaint, later in the evening, Sobleski is on a video firing his rifle at a vehicle that drove through one of the group's barricades, and that Sobleski fled the scene after firing the rifle at the vehicle. So my concern is this to me is sort of like...
He shot at a car. He shot at a car. That's the opening of the story. A guy shot at a car.
Dave, they buried the lead.
Oh, they talk about themselves for 4 paragraphs, and then they go, the guy threatened us. Oh, by the way, he shot
he shot at a car, not a law enforcement car. This was just some citizen's car, right?
Yeah.
So my concern is this, and I'm sure you're having the same concern. This to me is similar feeling about the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, where you have these guys arming themselves up, and they're not. They talk about rising up against police state violence, which I understand, and et cetera, but they are also have no loyalty about what that looks like per se if you have to deal with BLM or Antifa. On one side, they say they have empathy with these 2 other organizations because they're also fighting against a police state. And for superficially, I think that that's true. But if you push them on where they're at, if they have to choose between Kyle Rittenhouse or somebody from BLM, where are they going to choose? I think that's the real quandary, right? That's the deeper level of understanding that we need to have about this movement, right?
The Boogaloo Boys are such a massive. It's almost like an ideology hole. They hate cops and want the end of government. So they want they're like soldiers for chaos. Mm-hmm. And so every single one you talk to, you would get different answers on all this stuff.
Yeah.
There's a bunch that lean crazy right, and there's a bunch that are apparently believing in BLM and Antifa, and then you're like, well, I don't understand what these guys are. They're essentially. I like to look the way Robert Evans wrote a big article. And it was like, it's almost like they're 4chan's army.
Yes. Yeah.
They're a 4chan militia. They came out of memes. That's what Boogaloo comes from. Like it's all meme created. And now they have martyrs who have been killed by cops. This guy got arrested. He'll become a martyr for them. They all hold him up as martyrs, and they want to kill cops. And then the rest of the stuff, like some of them you push and they're just full on Nazis. And some you push and they're not. And that's why I'm like, yeah, don't talk to them because they're all over the place.
They're all over the place, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't know. Like you're right. One of them could be a Rittenhouse. Absolutely. And then a bunch of them support him. And then a bunch of them might think that's wrong, but also be like, yeah, but they're Boogaloo Boys, so it's cool. So it's just a mess.
It is kind of a mess, and I think it's interesting that I had Abner Hoagie on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he has a Discord chat that was leaked to him from one of the Boogaloo's main organizing Discords. And there's definitely guys in there that are talking about starting a civil war, and that part of doing that is siding with BLM to make it happen. And like, there's some crazy stuff that's going on inside that movement. And then I also know that the Boogaloo Intel Drop, which is a Telegram chat. Now, so I'm not sure what the situation is with that. I've been told by many folks that those folks aren't actually Boogaloos. They're just using that name as part of the chat. I don't know, but they're incredibly racist in this chat. They use the N-word, the C-word, kill them all. Like, they're definitely Nazis in that group.
So there's a bunch of Nazis that have been working really hard to bring in Boogaloos. And so they've done that. And then there's a bunch of them that are fronting and acting like they're for BLM because they know that could set off a race war. But then there's other ones that are actually like, no, I'm really this guy.
Yeah.
It is such a messed up
thing.
It's
such a messed up movement, exactly. It's very confusing because you're like,
yeah. I mean, if you're in that group, you're just based on that, there will be so many of them that turn against each other because they think the other one's a narc. Like, it's set up to be completely destroyed by just that apparatus of infiltration, and they will eventually just start to go against each other. I don't know how else that plays out.
Yeah, we interviewed somebody that self-identifies as a sovereign citizen, and I'm pretty sure he didn't say one way or the other whether he's a Boogaloo, but he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt at protests. I've seen him, so I'm assuming that he is, right?
Yeah.
But this guy was very much pro-Trump. He was very much anti-Antifa. He would be wearing let's his Hawaiian shirt that one of the Pinochet didn't do anything wrong. Let's throw the commies out of the helicopter.
That's a Nazi.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, it's a very puzzling movement to me, but I think it's something we should pay attention to.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone should be paying attention to it. But I only think of it as like they are the ultimate chaos agents.
Right. All right, so now we have about 8 more paragraphs of them propping up the FBI and the DOJ and how great we are. So
Oh my
let's
God.
skip that
the worst
part.
organization in the country.
I know, right?
Like, I'm surprised they haven't started arresting each other when they're undercover at this point. Like, they're just idiots.
You know, Dave, it's so odd to me because also you'll see, so you have the COINTELPRO stuff, I couldn't get that out, which is very worrisome. But then you see these civil rights division that actually want to go after hate crimes. And you wonder, like, how, at the end of the day, how much tension is there within that organization? Because obviously these things are going to be butting heads, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't know. All right. So Sobleski is scheduled for a preliminary in detention hearing before a United States magistrate judge on February 17th at 2:30 p.m. Turner is scheduled for a preliminary detention hearing before a United States magistrate judge on February 17th, so at the same time. If convicted at trial, both Sobleski and Turner face a maximum of 5 years imprisonment, a $250,000 fine, and a 3-year term of supervised release. All right, so I don't know, Dave.
I can't believe a guy 5 years for saying, like, go take down the police department. 5 years, really?
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.